everybody. This is Martin John, and I am here to talk with you about some Tao of the Day. The Tao Te Ching has been an important part of my life for the last 20 years or so, especially as it relates to my recovery, my previous addictions, and other things like that. It really helps me be centered. Now, it's not been easy to be a follower of the Tao. As I follow the Tao, I find myself um, less and less relatable to people, and people, having close relationships isn't easy, and being, and I can seem very uncaring. And the Tao speaks about that. People will see you as coarse and uncaring, and that's not because I don't care, and it's not because there isn't deep love and deep caring within me, but it's because I don't attach as much. Attaching to things can cause a lot of pain. And it's not that I don't want to attach to things. I just realize that attaching to things and having things that I like and having things that I prefer doesn't really get me to where I want to go. And it really aligns with all that I've been throughout my life. Even as a child, I didn't attach to things. I didn't like doing things. I did things to make other people happy because it was just easier. And as I get older, it's harder and harder to do that. And it's harder and harder to be present within that idea, within that framework. And so I want to warn everybody, I guess, that being at one with Tao, although it is a beautiful adventure, it takes you away from a lot of this like world. This is our world as it is very much about feeling good, very much about um, going out and being happy and getting your stuff and having your money and having your stuff and doing all that. And the Tao really speaks not against those things. Those things are all fine and good as they are, but the Tao speaks about them in a different way. He speaks about them as pitfalls that we can fall into. Isabella, how are you?
Good. How are you?
It has been a minute.
It it has been a minute. I hope all is well with you in these past months since we've last connected.
Yeah, has it been months? It may very well have been months. Yeah, but
It
no, however long it's been too long, and I'm really glad to see you.
yes, yes. I'm like, oh, I was totally inspired. And I in spirits like absolutely connect. And I'm like, all right,
Yes.
I'll connect with my friend. I've missed him.
Oh, so beautiful. I'm so glad you did. Since we've connected last, I don't know if you've been listening or not, but I've written my version of the Tao, which I'm using.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That makes me jump. I like teared up. Oh, that is yes.
and
Yes.
and I really
Yes.
feel like it's good. So so
Yes.
I'm
No,
writing
that
I'm
was your mission. I
I'm writing
just got
translation notes before I
yes.
go ahead and make a digital copy and then start doing like a print on demand thing as well. So all of that is to come, but it's all very exclusive here on
I love it.
Wisdom.
I love it.
So
So Amazon, you can I'm sure you've
yeah.
looked on Amazon.
Yeah,
So I have
I do
other
not like Amazon, so I may avoid Amazon completely, but
yeah, I know there's pluses and minuses to everything.
yeah.
I have I have tarot deck for children on
Mm.
Amazon.
I'm doing an Oracle deck with the Tao.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so there's an app, there's an Oracle deck, there's a book, there's the digital like
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
it's all a thing. Like, and I'm building it slowly. I'm gonna start with the book, and I'm gonna utilize that to
And you can do your
as
are
a
you
funding source for the Oracle deck.
I love it. Are you using your own artwork?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally jumping up and down inside.
Yeah, I have an arts background and everything, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna do watercolors for him. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna try and figure out what the imagery is, and then I got to do 81, and that's gonna take the winter. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
you
so
you
I'll
decided on
I'll
81.
hunk.
Okay.
Well, there's 81 verses.
Okay, 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 I did not know that. Okay. That
Yeah.
makes
So
perfect sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So printing them out. I'll go to a printer and we'll talk about like what that looks like. And I got to get a good card face and stuff. And so I may even talk to you about
Yeah,
who you
reach
use
out
and
to
stuff.
me because there's, Ninja Printing
Mm-hmm.
was delight delightful. I looked at a lot of printers, cardstock, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So happy.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we'll
like,
definitely be in touch. And I
yeah,
know a
reach
couple
out.
people that have made Oracle decks. So I'm looking forward to diving deeper into all of that.
I know they want me to create
Who's
a
they?
teenage, I know, right? Spirit,
Oh, okay.
uh,
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Whatever. I just call them they or my
Yeah,
non-physical
that's all good.
peeps.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was just like the printing press that we were talking about. Like,
No, no, no.
who is they?
But a teenager deck.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, specifically for teenagers. So I just laugh, and I mean, it took me 3 years to bring this little deck out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was a process. Everything's a process. We all
Everything.
know
Yeah.
this.
Waking up, coming up on my fucking stage and talking to me about the Dow. Yeah.
But
Where is that going to
listen,
go?
I I I am so happy. This I really do believe. I mean, when you said it, I got chills down my whole
Mm,
entire body, which I know that's like that's a big sign.
yeah. No,
It's huge.
I've read a couple of these to people and they're like, "Oh my God, I got goosebumps." Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like I've been with the Dow for a while, so I think I have a good sense of it." And of course the Dow is bigger than you can ever express, but I think I did good. And let's explore and see if
Yes,
I
yes.
did. Give
Oh
me
my
a number
god.
between 1 and
Y
81.
63.
63. Okay, so I've titled all of these Sans 1. I'm still looking at that. But
Okay.
the title of this one is Problems Are No Problem.
Okay.
Be still, and you will act without doing. Be still, and your work will happen regularly. Be still, and your senses will engage the subtle. Similarly, engage a stranger as the multitude. See the majesty of mountains in a grain of sand. The master knows greatness cannot be grasped. Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. With no desire to achieve it, her stillness guides her, making subtle movement. The difficult seems easy. She knows that all of life is not without its problems, so problems turn out to be no problem at all.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
So, what are some of your first thoughts?
My first thought is, ironically, I do have a lot of projects and
Hmm.
work, collaborating with the non-physical team.
Hmm.
And, I I I got the sense that the message was really for me to just say, you know, be and all the work will get done. You'll flow
Yeah.
into it. You'll be inspired. And because I would say my conditioning here, because I was in IT and operations
Hmm.
and we worked on a lot of projects, we had like sprints and whiteboards and, critical junctures and la 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 la, right?
Right.
And so I think spirit is just reminding me that I can flow and ease into my projects. Sort of like when you were saying, like, you have like the app and you have to do the pictures, and you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
probably for both of us because you know them. They're so
Yeah.
multi-pronged.
Yeah.
That, when you're inspired to paint, you paint the you might work on the app, then jump to the card, then jump to the book, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might not consecutively or finish one part of it. You might flow in a different manner. So I think this was a very gentle reminder for me, or maybe not so gentle. Uh,
So let's break this down a little bit. The first section is interesting because saying be still, and then it goes into an interesting line. I'm going to read this. So be still, and you will act without doing. And like I like that because like when we are confused about what it is we're to do next, if we just sit down and wait,
yes,
it's oftentimes we'll just eventually get up without even recognizing we got up, and then we'll be doing the dishes or something, and we won't have ever made the choice to do the dishes. We will have just started doing them,
yes,
you know? So and
yes.
then and then be still and your work will happen regularly. And I look at that and it's always like, you know, it's interesting. There are moments where we're busy, 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 and then there seems to be nothing. And in that time of nothing, there's a there's a verse that I wrote that's about stillness and integration. It speaks about this idea of after every moment of movement, there comes a time of stillness. And as you let yourself be still, the work that you have to do will present itself like just naturally. Like all of a sudden, you'll have projects and then you'll be
Y-
busy again. But you didn't do anything to make that happen, really. Like you just were still, and then you got up and you did the dishes, and then all of a sudden you have a project on your hands.
Yeah, and what they're saying on the other side, it's like the notes, the silence between the notes makes
Yeah,
the music more beautiful.
yeah, that stillness.
That
Without that
stillness.
stillness, in that other verse, there's this idea of without the stillness, you get into a space of anxiety and wild movements. It's like it's not contained. It's not within. Like it's wild.
Yeah, read that line again. Go back. Read the stillness line again one more time.
Be still and you will act without doing. Be still and your work will happen regularly. Be still and your senses will engage the subtle.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it?
And then there's this line similarly engage a stranger as the multitude.
Yeah, what do you think that is?
Well, for me, that meant like if you and I are talking, I have to approach you and I talking as if I'm talking to millions of people, right? Or lots of
Really?
people. Because it's like if I talk to you just with an open heart and not trying to appease you, because I can't appease a million people, I have to just be
No.
honest. And so when I approach you, and it's like I have to recognize that talking with you is affecting all of these other things. And like stillness, rather than trying to get you to believe me, stillness is part of that.
Wow. That is so freaking cool. I can't stand it.
Because it's very often when we try and when we approach a stranger, we want to sell them on who we are.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we can sit in front of a group of people, I feel like if you're sitting in front of like lots of people, you're not interested in what one person is thinking. You're just
No.
like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do but be me, right? You drop that unless, of course, you're entertaining or whatever, but you approach that stranger, that one person, as the multitude. It's like
Yeah.
I want to love everybody, right? And so you are not an individual who's, let's say, as we see political things, you are not a trans person. You're a person, right?
Yeah.
You are not an individual that is different from me.
Yeah, and you know what, they're saying this moves us into oneness.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Right. And
Uh-huh.
that's what we have next is see the majesty of mountains in a grain of sand. It's all connected.
Yeah.
The majesty of the greatness, right, of the multitude is within this singular stranger, this one person.
Yes.
And so see the majesty, like you and I talking. I can see the majesty of you being a million people all within you.
Oh
And I
my
could
gosh, that
and I
is
can
so
be here.
freaking cool. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Holy.
that's what and that led we got led there from the line, be still and your senses will engage the subtle, because it is subtle that we're all connected. But if we can be still in our minds, we won't separate.
Oh, yes. If we can still in our minds, we will not separate. And the separation is what causes the feeling of pain and suffering. That's really
Yes.
what
And
it
fear.
is. It's the
Hmm.
fear, which is separation of love.
Yeah.
We're so silly down here. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, we're so silly.
So this
That's so
continues, if you can come back up because you only got a minute left, please
okay.
do.
Okay, I will.
Um, the master knows greatness cannot be grasped, and that's what all of these things are trying to address, right? Be still and you will act without doing. It's like, oh, I want to be great, so I got to do. Oh, I want to work
Yes.
regularly, so I gotta act. But no, the master knows that greatness can't be grasped. This is why you're still, and this is why you engage a stranger as the multitude, because you can't do anything else. Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. With no desire to achieve it, her stillness guides her, making subtle movements. The difficult seems easy.
I love that line so much. What do you think that means?
Well, if you can't grasp greatness, then don't try. Remain still and allow greatness to flow through you. Don't have any desire to achieve anything, and allow that stillness to guide you. Allow that stillness to let you wash your dishes. Because those subtle movements, the difficult seems easy. If you sat down and you were like, I got all this stuff to do. I gotta vacuum, and I gotta clean, and I gotta wash my dishes. I gotta do all this stuff. It becomes overwhelming. I gotta, you know, save Ukrainians from the Russian war. I gotta do all of these things, right? So we gotta do all of these things in the world.
Yeah.
But it's the subtle movements that those difficult tasks become easy. Is when we're just still and we allow that greatness to flow through us. And I actually put out an email today about an experience I had, hearing about the news of the Russian war on Ukraine, and I was like, why don't people just why doesn't the world just stop them? Why doesn't the world just
Mm.
stop Putin? Like, we can do that. I don't understand what the problem is. And in my mind, I had to recognize that that was the fears I had about being bullied as a child.
Oh,
And it didn't have anything to do.
wow.
It didn't have anything to do with Putin. It had to do with my perception of the world and my fear. Now, if I can allow, remember this last line of like like see the majesty of mountains in a grain of sand, the majesty of my healing myself
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
my believing that the world is full of bullies is going to help Ukraine,
Mm.
because
Mm.
when I heal myself, I heal the world, to whatever degree I can. Now, that doesn't mean that I am, complacent or anything like that. Of course, but it is my contribution. It's what I can do, because can I do anything more than that? But that's a contribution to. And that's why through subtle movements, the difficult seems easy. It's like, oh, this isn't me being a victim, because there are enough victims in the world. I can come out and I can change my perception. So that's how I see this.
Okay, okay, okay. So, just read the lines one more time.
hmm The master knows greatness cannot be grasped. Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. With no desire to achieve it, her stillness guides her. And so, if we were to talk about my experience with that newscast, right? The
Yeah.
master knows greatness can't be grasped. So, I can't do anything great to change the situation of Ukraine.
So,
Remaining still, she allows greatness to flow through her. So I can be aware of that subtle energy that's coming through me, that's telling the story and showing me a world that I perceive and have contributed to in a negative way, that,
hmm
in this way that I no longer want to contribute, with no desire to achieve it. I cannot have a desire to achieve peace in Ukraine, and I can allow stillness to guide me. And by making the subtle movement of shifting my awareness, the difficult changing the situation in Ukraine seems easy because it's within me. That's the same situation happening.
yeah, yeah, everything's within. All right.
Right.
So this is what I just a different angle. I
Yeah,
mean,
please.
same similar angle.
Please. Talking.
Okay, so the greatness is your inner being,
Mm-hmm.
your soul. And you can't grasp your soul because you are your soul.
Right.
So you almost have to relax to achieve greatness, right? To achieve miracles, to achieve magic, to achieve peace, calm, harmony, love, frequency, one, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what greatness represents to me, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to achieve that, I can't force it. So one of the things that spirit always tells me is they said, Isabel, magic is not with the mind, it's with the
Right.
heart. You have to feel the emotions. And it's confusing to me because when you cook, you have a recipe, right? A half a cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour, 2 eggs, whisk,
Sounds like you're
whatever,
baking. And
right?
there's a big difference
Exactly,
between baking and cooking. And you're right.
right?
Baking requires a recipe.
Which now I no longer use recipes and defy that experience because I'm like, I'm going to do it like cooking because I'm an intuitive cooker, right? So I decided to be an intuitive baker. And it's turning out pretty good. My cookies are like spot on. But anyways, I digress with food. However, in that even when you solve a mathematical problem, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses first, then exponents, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, when you greatness, when you work with the divine or your inner being, it's not step by step. It's not logical. You can't control it. You can't grasp it. So then the next line is I think the idea is don't be attached to an outcome.
Right.
Just don't don't be attached to an outcome.
Yeah, that's with no desire.
With
Like with no desire to achieve it.
yeah,
Because
which
if
is
you have a desire to achieve it, then
yeah.
you are going to then it immediately gets put on some spectrum of right, wrong, good, bad, success, failure.
Yes. Yes. And that I find releasing the attachment to the outcome and allowing it to be and flow and the subtle, like I I personally have to work on that. Like that's hard because we do feel attached to outcomes. We
Yeah,
do want
and
things.
when we do that, we fall into this category of wanting to prove that we're progressing along that line.
Yeah.
So if I had a desire to, you know, help Ukraine experience peace,
Yeah.
it would have to look physically in the world of material manifestation like I was doing it.
Mm.
But when I recognize that, like, yes, I want peace in Ukraine, and the way to do that is find peace within myself about the experiences I had that make me experience, um, bullying, for lack of a better word at this point, or to focus on one specific thing, um, in that way, right? Like, so how I can't prove that in any physical way, that my work on myself is actually doing anything for Ukraine.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting that you say that. So I actually have a teacher's course, and we literally we work on the soul collective. And I will tell you, spirit shows. I have like 10 teachers in this course, and they're all psychics. And what's really freaky cool is that we go into meditation state, I would say, or hypnotic state, but we see the same things. That, like, so we come out of it and we see the same things in the
Yeah,
collective.
and I think that is, and I think that's real. But
That is real.
when
And
we
so,
talk about the physical, and when we talk about the manifestation, and when we talk about the way that we experience achievement in the world today,
yeah,
that what you're experiencing requires, stillness, requires a
yeah,
not, like, you can't claim, like, I mean, you can claim, sure, anybody can claim, but, like, in that world, and that's what this is really getting at, with no desire to achieve. If you guys went out of your way to, try and achieve something, there'd be a lot of people that would be able to say, well, I don't see that very easily. Even if they did, they could very easily say that, because there's no way of proving
I,
anything other than
I, there
receiving your
is
word.
no way.
Right.
And there's,
And
yes, yes,
that's what this is talking about. That idea that you can't grasp
yes,
it. You can't
no,
grasp it in the physical. But if
no,
you release and you surrender to it,
yeah.
then you can be with it.
You can only create in your reality, right? You can only,
Right.
so when you achieved peace around the bullying, right? I'm just letting you know that it does impact the soul collective. Like, it's pretty
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like,
But
eh, we all
it
know
doesn't
that.
matter, but it that part almost doesn't matter.
Right.
Ironically.
It
Like,
doesn't.
even it
because the
doesn't, because
physical because the physical manifestation world is just
yes.
that. And so it
Yes.
doesn't matter that it's, and that's why, if you have a desire to achieve something, that is that is really a waste of your energy.
It is. And again, I find that very counterintuitive, right? Because
It's
we've
only
been
counterintuitive when we
it,
grasp onto the manifestation.
yes.
Right, if we
Yes.
grasp, and that's the way the world works, but
Yeah.
that's the way the world of manifestation works. It's like, this is physical, this is proof, and I can prove that we are making a difference, because look, I can push this rock. Yes, but you don't have to push the rock, and the rock will move anyway. And then they'll say, prove it, and it's like, there's no reason to prove it.
Right. Right. And that's the logic mind that wants proof, cause and
Right.
effect,
That
right?
is the mind of the manifestation. And this is
Yeah.
where this one wraps up. She knows that all life is not without its problems. So problems turn out to be no problem at all. Like, understanding that that this is just part of it. And it's not a problem.
Okay. Okay.
This is like, I know that it is more than the physical, and the physical is going to give me all sorts of stuff to learn from, and that's fine. And we
Yeah.
stand here and we say, yes, this is my experience now.
Yes. Yes. And what how beautiful that that softens it, you
Right.
know? Like, "Oh, okay, this is just part of the game. There's no
Yeah, that's it.
there's no problem at all.
This is just part of it, and here I
This is
am,
just
and
part
this
of
is
it."
my part. Right, I'm having this experience, this is my part.
Yeah.
And I get to do this. And I get to do this for what? For everyone.
Yeah.
Engage a stranger as the multitude. This
Love that.
one experience, I'm doing this for all of us. And all of us is me.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Yes, we remain still and we allow greatness to flow through us. Not to be great, because we
Yeah.
can't be great. That can't be grasped. But we can
No.
allow greatness to flow through us
Mhm.
without desire to achieve it. Her stillness guides her, making subtle movements. The difficult becomes easy.
Mm. So the subtle movements is also like what the team always says, just one step. Just
Yeah,
take one step
yeah.
and
It's
let go
this
of the
is it
rest
right now. That's it. This is
right
what you
now.
do right now.
This
And
is the
maybe it will
present.
guide you to the next thing. Like I've been reading the Tao for years.
Yeah.
And then I started presenting the Tao. And then I started to translate the Tao. And then I started getting ideas for watercolors. And then
Yeah.
like years ago, I learned how to build apps. So it's like, oh, here it is. I'm going to build this whole thing. And it's all coming because I did some silly stuff throughout my life that showed me that I could do those things. And it slowly built my confidence and it built my ability and it built my all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And here I am just going through and changing and contributing to the conversation of our development.
So cool. So cool. And that's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Like that's the pattern. One little like when you reflect back on it, you can see your series of development, how
Yeah.
spirit always led you and guided you, right?
Yeah.
But you were in the moment, you were just like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to build an app because I have a job. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You
yeah,
don't
because
think
I got to do
anything
a
of it.
thing and like whatever, and I'm gonna go ahead and learn that, and I'm excited about it, and I'm like, and then like there are times in our life where we're not excited, and where those are still parts, those are still points,
Yeah.
and then we will
Yeah.
act without doing, and then all of a sudden, all of those things will fall into place, and it'll take us to where we're going next.
Yes. All right, I'll let another guest come. Wonderful to connect with you. Reach out to me anytime if you want to talk about my
Yeah,
experience.
we will. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll definitely be reaching out. I appreciate
All right. Awesome. Have an awesome day. Love this. Love this. Love what you're doing and super excited. Super excited.
it. Thank you so much. Love you, and have a wonderful day. All right, well, that was 63. If anybody else wants to come up and pick a number between 1 and 81, I would love to talk down with you. Problems are no problem. I'm going to read this again while we wait for somebody to step up. Be still, and you will act without doing. Be still, and your work will happen regularly. Be still, and your senses will engage the subtle. I really love that. Your senses will engage the subtle. It's like when we're caught in manifestation, we always want to feel the strong feelings. But I was speaking with one person about strong feelings don't last long. Your body fights them. So it's always good to be in touch with the subtle. Ed, how you doing?
Hey Martin, how are you?
I am very well. I'm very well.
Uh,
You having a good morning?
a great morning, thank you. I tuned in and I listened to the first hour of the day, and it resonated very much. Thank you very much for that. I really
Oh,
appreciate this morning routine here. Where are you again?
I'm in Chicago.
You're in Chicago, so morning routine for you as well.
Yes, yes. This is I like presenting these in the morning to give people something to sit with for their day.
Oh, it's perfect, and you're doing a great job. I really appreciate the intentions that you bring in here on the waves, and it's needed. It's needed in those times, and I think it's helping a lot of people. So thank you.
Absolutely. So, have you done a Tao of the Day before? I don't recall.
I've been present to several of yours, but I think I've done one maybe a
Oh,
few
you're
months
breaking up a
behind.
bit.
I've been away
Oh,
for a few months. I've been
okay.
quite busy. So, I think I need to give you a number. So
A
let's
number
go with
between 1 and 81. Yep.
perfect. So today we're the 19th, so why don't we do 19th?
Okay, 19. This one is entitled Real Education. Don't aspire to be holy or smart. You will finally find happiness. Don't inquire about morality or justice. You will finally be perfect. Don't create things in order to profit. You will finally be secure. If all that fails to inspire you, stay humble and simple as possible, and at least you won't be selfish.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
How beautiful. You have no idea how this resonates right now.
So tell me how it resonates.
So I have created a new adventure for me.
Hmm.
I used to have a gallery here in New York City, and during COVID,
An art gallery.
an art gallery, and during COVID,
Beautiful.
I had to close it, unfortunately. But actually,
Hmm.
not unfortunately, because it was probably one of the greatest gifts I've received from the universe.
Yeah.
And in the last few years, I've been on this journey, and this journey through, you know, introspection and really working on myself. And I've been having these quite deep, if I can say, mystical experiences in meditation and in just my daily life. And so I've been seeking, seeking to teach, to inspire, to grow within that realm. And I've built a retreat, a
Oh,
hosted
beautiful.
retreat, actually, in a couple weeks in Brazil. And every day I make a video and I write a message and I share it on this group that I that I that I organize. And every day I ask myself, how can I be better? How can I be better? How am I gonna be the best at this? How am I gonna be the best at this? Huh? And and I'm suffering from it because I'm asking
Yeah.
myself, am I doing the right thing? Is it the right message? How is am
Yeah.
I gonna be good enough? Is it all of these things, right? That you're looking. Is it gonna make money?
Yeah.
Because I need the money as well. So is it gonna make the money? Is it gonna do? So this that was actually quite perfect.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's
looking at all of these lines of like, don't aspire to be holy or smart, and you will finally find happiness. Don't
Mhm.
inquire about morality or justice, and you will finally be perfect. Don't create things in order to profit, and you will finally be secure. And I'm seeing all of those things, and those are the traps that we have, right? Those are the
Yeah,
traps we have in a consumer slash like Western world of
for sure, because this is where we put and we observe value from. This is
right,
how we determine our own value. And one of the things I usually tell people is that no one taught us how to be human. Yeah? We teach
right,
each other and our kids how to be good accountants, good lawyers, good doctors, good this, good that, good businessmen. And how do you quantify that? You quantify that with numbers, with
right.
the greater the number, the bigger the rewards. And when you're talking about inner peace, numbers don't matter like that. It's
Hmm.
not about numbers. It's about currents. And that is what we need to relearn here, to remember. It's not that we need to teach people again, it's we need to remind them, because we know deep down that this is not our values. And it belongs to us because it is a part of us, but it's not us. It's a part of us. Yes, the numbers are important for some things, but it should not be the point where we look at our value from. And
Right.
that's
And
what.
and I look at your like looking outside of yourself. Am I doing this right? It's always
Yeah,
questioning you,
for
but
sure.
you are being, one of the great things about the Tao is it always tells us it's not us doing it.
Mhm.
It's, if we take our ego and get in the way of us actually doing this thing, we want to say, I did this. But it's like, really, if we're doing something, it's probably been inspired by
Mhm.
something much different than just us.
And we
And
channel it. It goes
right,
through us.
right. And if we could be, and this is what the end says. If all that fails to inspire you, stay humble and as simple as possible, and at least you won't be selfish. Like it's just staying humble and just being simple. Be here as simple and humble as you can be in this thing you're making. You want to be the best. But in order to be the best, you have to create a spectrum of which entails good and bad, and you are going to fall somewhere on that spectrum. If you get rid of the spectrum altogether and say, I am going to build this without, like, so many times as someone who has worked in tech, one of our biggest problems is when you want to create something, the people who want you to create it always tell you, look at these things and make something like that.
Yeah.
But as a tech person, the first thing we have to do is say, what if everybody built it wrong and we are going to solve our own problem first?
Yeah.
And not until we have a solution are we going to look at someone else's work.
You
And
see,
that's because we are guiding this.
exactly. And I had this conversation. You bring this up right now in me. I had this conversation last night with a friend of mine. We were discussing on per Forbes magazine what are the best companies to work for, right?
Mhm.
So I asked him. I said, "Well, how is that determined?
Right.
What are the points they're using to determine if it's a positive or a negative for this company?"
Hmm.
They said, "No, but they have a questionnaire, and after the questionnaire, they put everything in the computer, and it just tells you the percentages, and it
Who
gives you."
chose the questions?
I said, "Who?"
They didn't come naturally through the.
Yeah. So I asked him who asked the question. He said, "No, but they have a whole team of psychiatrists and people and whatever." I said, "Great, wonderful. I am sure. I'm not saying that they don't. I mean, think
There's,
about it.
yeah,
And
there's not some
yeah,
criteria.
but the original intention they put in it will shape the questions they will ask. And depending on what question you ask, you can have a completely different answer." Because he
That's
said,
right.
"Yes, but at the end of the day, everybody goes for the money and wherever they get the most money." I said, "Of course, people like to have more. If you
Yep.
tell them you're going to
I'm
get more
getting you.
money, if that's the question you ask, of course they're going to say, yes, I prefer more money. It's normal." But if you ask a different question about, for instance, I said, "But how many hours do you sleep at night? What is the
Yes.
quality of your sleep once you during the
Yes.
week? What,
What
you know,
what is the quality of the relationship in your family?
exactly, what's the
What is
quality of the
what
relationship with your boss or this kind of
right?
thing? This
Or
is
where is, like, how much time do you spend with, like, each one of your children every week?
exactly
Like, when we talk about success and when we talk about all of those things, like, it's all individually understood.
for sure. And the intention that we bring into the situation is really what determines the outcome.
Yeah.
And we don't. I've been saying this to people because I've learned it from the Tao or other places, but it was never. It was more of a way. Before you start integrating, you repeat, right? So I knew it
Hmm.
was real, so I would say those things because I knew somehow there was truth in them, and until I understood them, and it felt like a 360 because you go through it and you know it's true, you believe it is, so you start acting on it. But then once you experience and you integrate, you come back and you realize, oh wow, it's in everything. Your intentions in everything, in the way you ask the question, like we just determined, but
Yeah.
with what is your purpose of your day today? Have you set your intentions today, Martin?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
and it's something that I'm trying to work. I'm being very hard on myself with all these things, but
And like, there's a path to that. Like, if you're being hard on yourself, recognize that as the observer, not as the person doing it,
mm,
right? Because when we get caught up into thinking that you are simply here and you are a body and you have to abide by the body, when you get into that, then you start to aspire to do something with that body, right? To be holy or smart. When we talk in the Tao about masculine and feminine, and we talk about the
mm.
masculine being the body, but the feminine being the spirit, right?
And what holds the body?
Yeah, but it's like it is it is structure versus substance. And when we talk about aspire to be holy or smart, those are things that are structurally created by people around you, right? Other people decide whether you're holy or you're smart. And that's why you get graded. Once again, quantifying the quality of your life. Inquire for about morality and justice. If you are good, you do these things. If you are bad, you do these things, right? Like, and all of a sudden it's like, but sometimes when you do bad, you're doing a great thing. When you do something that might be seen as quote unquote bad from a perspective. Don't create things in order to profit. Just create them because they're coming from you. And you will finally be secure. Maybe you're not going to have as much money as someone on the Forbes top earners, but that's not what you need to be happy unless your happiness is defined by how you're being seen and what this world has to offer you.
Yeah, to each his own, and it's
That's
all
right.
about the smoke mirrors that we decide to hold on, right? And how
Yeah.
we, and this is something that has been very important for me is dismantling in the last 5 years. What am I doing that it is because I want to seem, and what is it that I'm doing that I'm enjoying because I'm actually enjoying it? You know,
Yes.
it's
Because it is
people
actually you're doing, like you're
for
being
sure,
you
sure.
rather than trying to do something for someone else.
Yeah, and this is something, you know, I tell people and I say, well, in this community you hear a lot of people, yeah, money is bad, this, da, da, da. People
Mm,
take down these things, and I say, no, listen, it's not bad. It's how you relate to it that is toxic. It's not
that's right.
itself. And if this guy wants to buy himself a nice sports car because he enjoys it and he truly enjoys it and he likes the sound of the motor and he likes to go around and it makes him smile and he wants to invite his friends because he truly loves that, then there's nothing wrong with it,
No,
you
no,
know?
not at all.
And
Not at all.
that's the great question for us is to start to observe every single thing about our daily life. What do we do for to seem and what we do because we enjoy? And then you start realizing, well, maybe I don't need a 2,000 square feet apartment in this place. You know,
Right.
maybe I
And
don't need, you know,
it's always got to be taken into consideration that when the Tao talks about don't create things in order to profit, it's not don't create things to profit. Don't go into it with the simple like like I want to profit, I want to
intention
profit, I'm going to do it right with the
with the
intention of
sole intention to profit. Yeah.
right. And that's what this is really addressing, and it's saying, look, there is a spectrum. You can create a spectrum of anything, rich and poor and moral and justice and holy and smart, and you can create a spectrum and you can grade that. You can put numbers on all of those things. And once you do, the Tao is saying, look, if that's too much, just stay humble. If you can't get rid of, like that guy with the sports car, yes, enjoy the sports car. But if someone pulls up to you in a Pinto, in a 1973 Pinto, you have to be like, hey, man, who are you? How are you? I can love you just as much as I can love anything else because I can stay humble. And it's not about me having this thing and you must have it as well. And that's where this is talking about, like really connecting with Tao and with what we are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Martin.
Absolutely, thank you so much. And we should talk because I do artwork and stuff, and I would love to talk about your center. So I'll be in
You should
touch.
look me up. Look me up
Yep.
on the app. You will see
Yeah, I'll
the
check.
link
I'll
to
check
the.
your I'll check your links, and we'll connect. We're gonna talk with Dr. Rao. Dr. Rao. Hello, my friend.
Hi, Martin. How are you?
I'm blessed. It's been a beautiful morning.
Good, good. Okay.
I wanted to say hi, and I'm really glad that you're around.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to the last couple of guests, what they were talking about and what your response and all that. Uh, you know, when you mention body, what do you mean?
It probably depends on when I mentioned it. I may
No, no.
mean,
In
I
the
may,
last discussion, you were talking about the body. You mentioned body.
yeah, I don't recall, but I often mean the manifestation.
Tell me what it is.
The body?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, uh, for me, as I understand the body, it is it is. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. It is part of the manifestation. It is the vehicle that I am having these experiences of the
Yeah,
manifestation through.
yeah. What I mean is, I want to bring clarity to that.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So what it is generally body means in Western terms, it is just the physical body and senses and all that going through, right?
Hmm.
They tend to look at mind separate from the body, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
But then body and mind are together, but then they're the tools. That means objectify the mind.
yeah. Hmm.
That's an important. I'm going to give a talk on mind management. This is the first recommendation. Objectify your mind. And that's where a lot of people are really struggling, because they kind of go by what the mind takes them on a journey to, right? And then they get caught in that. But the important thing is, you see, Tao or Brahman are not a thing as we remember, but it's more like a subjective sense of what we are, right?
Yeah.
Now, once we are in there, it's not like it's a thing that you are there, it's a body or mind, but that is the one which animates the body and mind.
Yes.
The separation is, I think we can do that too. Am I objectifying my mind, or am I driven by the mind's thoughts and feelings and all of that? Then but you know what happens? You
Mm.
really stay in your blissful being, and then look at everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And peace. It's
Right.
pleasant.
Yeah.
Mind is still. You see, you are talking about stillness of the mind, and then really knowing ourselves. That is Patanjali Yogashotra's conclusion.
Yeah.
First, still the mind, then you will see your real nature.
Yeah. And I think in that one we were talking with Isabel all about like when you
Yeah,
can be still, you can experience the subtle nature
yeah,
of like
certainly.
not
And
not the obvious obtuse sort of like
I think
physical.
they use it like an individual or multitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is actually, the being is one being one. We are all in that one. That is the multitude.
Yeah.
There's no separation, right?
No, right.
So the whole yoga is for the mind stillness and really knowing the nature of us.
Mm.
Swarupa, they call it. Swarupa in Sanskrit means that is the real you, like
Yeah.
so once you are there, you objectified the mind. That's such a relief, because you can have thoughts, and there's so much science behind that too, like a conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and all those things are there, and people do not really know what to consciously think. That's why these things accumulate in your subconscious, unconscious, never purge it from there, and they come up and they get confused.
Yeah.
The clarity is there, but then what to do with the things that are coming to really attack that clarity?
Right. And I think that, like that's the absence of surrender, right? We we
Yeah,
we take everything that comes in and we utilize that to experience
yeah,
ourselves
yeah,
because that is proof that we
yeah.
exist, right? And that's not, right? Like
We
it's that,
always identify with the shadow rather than
right.
the real thing.
Yeah. Because
That's
yeah,
all.
it's because the shadow creates that contrast. And so
Yeah,
we can experience that a lot easier than we can experience the subtle because the
I
subtle.
made a pointer to one of students in my wellness club. You know,
Mhm.
said, look at the wisdom. She's also a wisdom participating person. They call them wisdomers, but I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Because I said people are trying to relate to each other. That's all I say. But
Yeah.
then I said something like, it seems everybody's stuck in that mind layer.
Hmm. Yeah.
Think about that, you know. So that's this lecture is going to be significant because uh, for somebody who touches the stillness, don't have to worry about it. But the ones who is trying to touch the stillness through the mind, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Make it an object and look at it as a tool, then it will be silent, then you are in that. You don't have to be separately be in there. You are there when you.
Right. Yeah. Always.
So it's not like it's telling us or anything like that, you know. So you know what it is a lot of people are thinking Tao as a something to reach something that is going to make their mind silent and all of that, you know. That's like identifying it as object.
Yes, that's right.
So it's subjective reality that is there. You experience it, not you build or go towards it or anything like that, you know.
Right.
So objectifying the mind, that is the thing I wanted to say.
Oh, that's well put.
That covers everything. And then the thing is, are we really doing it, or are we, uh, you know, thinking that we are doing it, but not really, but in that network?
Right.
That's each person has to determine for themselves anyway. You know, cannot judge them. You know, that's a
Yeah. No, yeah. And you know, like as Nat was speaking.
only we can tell them, I am still, I'm blissful, I feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And for me, thought is object. And try that. That's all. So
Yeah.
not an accusatory, but then look at the discussions, look at anything happening. Everybody is subtle, very articulate, very, uh, you know,
They,
erudite.
yeah, we love that. We love being smart, right? And
I
that's
know,
why
I
and
know.
that's and you know,
Yeah,
in this 19 that we read, it was like, don't aspire to be holy or
yeah.
smart. You will
You know,
finally find happiness.
why is the difficulty, Martin? Silence you are in, I am in silence. That
Yeah.
communication is totally different.
Yeah.
You
It is.
feel it,
Yeah.
but don't have any expressions about it.
Right.
But all this noise, all this, oh, okay, I'm marching towards it, I'm going to gain it, I'm going to
Yep.
understand,
Yeah.
grow. So I'm not
Yeah.
belittling
It's
them.
all about achievement. It's all about like achievement.
I'm just weeping inside, but I'm just saying outward because I see the suffering that goes on, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't want to get out of the dream, make it objectified,
You
look at
know,
it as a
because
tool.
they see all of the, you know, all of the objects around them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and and they put so much emphasis on that that they must be, you know, like they can they
Yeah.
can
You know,
be better or whatever.
we can check with them as they come to our rooms and all of that.
Yeah.
Do you have thought as an object to you, or do you think is subjectively very active, driving you?
You know, I always have a problem with like understanding how to see those things like objectivity and subjectivity, but
Yeah,
like for me it's just about
yeah.
like
This
I
is so
never I
remarkable, Martin. You see,
yeah,
because subjective self felt is the our real nature.
right,
That has thoughts as objects.
yes. Yeah.
You know, Western culture is embedded in that,
Hmm. Yeah,
completely immersed in that.
yeah.
For example, if you say, be quiet, still, they may understand the word still, but do they really have the stillness as a reality?
Right. You know, I talk about that a little bit when I talk about like infinity. Like you can understand
Yeah.
infinity
But
in
but
this
you know, all these
box.
descriptions are appreciated, but then what about the subjective reality? Do you experience it? That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
and
about you
and
and
and,
me.
and
I'm talking about
I
anybody, right? Anybody.
right. And for me, it's about experiencing what I'm experiencing and not defining it as subjective or
Yeah.
objective, just
You,
trying to be
yeah.
present with
You
what it
know
is.
whether your mind is silent or racing. That's all.
Yeah, right.
We cannot
And I
see from
remember,
here. You can only say that is there. You can touch it, and then it's very beneficial, very nice, because this chatterings really, what it is you got to be in that, so that this seizing of thought happens.
yeah,
If you are not in that, this descriptions, all these exercises, intellectual gymnastics will go on.
yeah, that's right.
When I see that, I feel sorry, because you are seizing something, anybody, but
Hmm.
you don't experience that.
Right.
You see the trap?
Yeah, because and that's one thing that anybody can say one
Yeah,
thing,
we
but
can
it's
say, but
it's
we experience it. That's up to them also, because we cannot judge them whether we having that. We don't know, but they can tell for themselves whether they are in that experiential thing or not.
yeah, we there's
Usually, they are not, because all the projection is seen.
right.
I can see projection that is coming from there.
Yeah,
See, there is a
absolutely.
distinction that they made, ancients.
Hmm.
Are you speaking from your intellect, however refined, however this is, or are you speaking from that self within
Yeah,
you, that silence within you? And only the people who are in silence can see the silence and then relate with that.
right.
Everybody else is kind of trying to understand that thing, do all the group go together, all those things they do, but with the hope of catching it. You know what the
Yeah.
tragedy is? You don't have to do anything, just keep quiet.
That's right. That's right. Just keep quiet. Because everything else is just
Yeah,
noise. Everything else is just projecting. And
yeah,
it's interesting that you mentioned that because like in the first verse of Tao it says, you know, if you want to experience the depth, stop identifying. Stop objectifying like all of that, right? Like stop being
yeah,
that. And then do you want to experience the shallowness of manifestation, then differentiate. Both of those are
yeah.
fine.
See that
Either way,
identification.
no one can tell. The
Yeah, that
difference is in your experience.
yeah, that identification, that is very strong.
Yeah,
Identifying with the thought which is always running, always going.
that's right. That's
And
right.
actually, very simple term says, thought turned outward is mind, but mind turned inward is the stillness. That means thoughts are not going outward, they are absorbed into your spirit. Nothing to say, just
I'm
do
just
the
writing a
work,
note.
and then in flow, and
Yeah,
then after the work is done, keep quiet.
be quiet. Yeah,
Yeah. And when we say
stillness.
that harsh, it looks harsh, but then once you experience that, then you will not be coming back to these frivolous pleasures and all that, because that is so blissful and ecstatic and really joy. It's not even ecstasy, it's a
Yeah,
joyful
yeah.
thing
It's yeah. Like
underlying,
stillness.
Yeah.
Stillness brings so much. Oh, you dropped off. Why don't you come back and if you can, you're like, by the way, and we're gonna have Dr. Rao and then Julie will get to you in a moment. By the way, Dr. Rao,
I
what's
was
up?
saying, Martin, that I'm going to do a talk on what is the ancient system of education and what can we learn from that, and then look at how the modern education can be uh, taking these incorporations of suggestions, right? Uh, so that is an important talk, because I was talking to a group of young professionals who are interested in the things sometimes I talk about. So they asked me, I said, I will do that on Saturday at 11 o'clock. I'm going to do
Oh, my
my,
Saturdays are always booked,
yeah.
but
No, you can listen to the,
I'll listen. Yeah, I'll listen to the
yeah.
replay
But then
definitely.
that discussion is about uh, how did they allowed this Gurukul with what missions, what were the accomplishments, what were the stated goals, and all that. Very fascinating to look at that, because they didn't talk about technical skills first. They said, fine, you can have them all. But then this inclining of who we are, first find that out, and then do. A child is told, look at your life if you are told as a child.
Yeah.
That's all. I just want to tell you that. Okay, I will talk to you later, Martin.
Yes, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
And we're connected via the text message and stuff, so we'll
Yeah.
be in touch. All right, Julie, over the pond. How are you, my dear? Hope all is well.
Hello, Martin.
Hello. How are the grandkids?
I don't know. I haven't seen them for a while.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm not.
Oh, well, good on you.
They are thriving. They are thriving without me. They are doing
Good,
well.
good. I'm glad.
They're winning medals at gymnastics and
Oh man, who's
swimming,
doing
and
that?
that's Brooke. Brooke
Brooke.
is the win. Yeah,
My sister was a gymnast when she was a kid.
she's so bendy and so joyful.
That's
You
so
know, she's
good.
always smiling at the top of her. Oh, she's just amazing what she gives out.
I'm so grateful. So
Anyway,
how are you? So I know you're working again. How's the program for hypnotherapy?
that's okay. That's all in been prepared. I've paid for it. It's all ready to rock and roll on the 1st of November.
1st of November. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for that and for you to be doing that. That's wonderful.
I've got something to tell you today, which is
Shoot.
lovely. It's really Tao. It's really Tao. For 2 days, I went to work and I cared for 3 patients at the utmost of my abilities to share the sun and just bring their mood up and say, we can do this, guys. Look, you're this age now. You didn't get here by. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And then today, I am the one in bed with a fever.
Mm,
So I took it away for them, Martin,
yeah.
because that's the sort of thing I do.
You know, it's interesting, when we get a fever and when we get put down by anything, like we have to
I
be
actually
able to.
enjoy it. I actually enjoy it because when you are in another side kind of place, you get kind of a bit of, I don't know, visions and stuff. That's
Yeah.
what happens to me when I've got a fever, and I haven't had one for a very, very long time. So I'm
That's yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's important to recognize that it's yours.
mm, yeah,
This is yours. This is sure you could look at it from this perspective of like them and you, but the experience you had caring for them
that was great.
prepared
That was
you,
mine. That was
right,
mine. Mm.
and contributed to your life to prepare you for this moment.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
it's all so cumulative. It's not separate, and it's not, like your pilgrimage prepared you for this as well in different ways and stuff. And
Yeah.
here you are in bed with a fever, and I'm grateful to be on your bedside reading.
You are, yeah, you are. We're sharing tomato soup.
That's good.
We're
Oh
dipping
yeah.
bread.
Do
Oh,
you have a
lovely.
grilled cheese with that? Here in the States, we have
Oh
grilled cheese with tomato.
no, I missed out on that. I'll have to put that little ingredient in
Yeah,
the
it's
next
a
couple
it's
of
a
days.
it's a nice toasty thing that's
Mm,
filled with cheese, and you can dip it in, and it's got carbs, so it's like nice, and it's just good and warming.
just melts, and you have
Yep,
to
it just
be
melts,
very
and
quick.
you can dip it in that soup a little bit if you're into that. Like not
Oh, I
everybody likes
do.
dipping.
I am. I'm a dipper.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
So yeah,
A
that's
dipper and a
me.
dripper.
Have
So,
have you can we do a number today?
please,
Can we do number 59?
off we go. Oh, how you know how the Tao works, right? Like
I do,
it's all like, and so this one is entitled "Serving Others."
yeah. That's great.
While serving others, be as reserved as you can be. Be like Tao. Nurture all things without influencing them.
Hmm.
This is possible through moderation. Free yourself from the constraints of your own ideas. Respect all things as they are and remove their limits. Embrace this virtue, and your limits will be removed as well. Find within yourself both solid ground and yielding sky. Be at one with Tao, and the landscape creates itself. Limitless, you achieve immortality.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've got to watch that influencing thing. Definitely.
Yeah. I
Because,
do like that first line, right? While serving others, be as reserved as you can be. Be like Tao. Nurture all things without influencing them.
yeah, yeah. Because it's very, very difficult if you are, if you feel that you have a caring nature, not to overload that onto your experience. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
easy for me to absolutely mollycoddle these people,
right.
but I have to say, you've got your bit to do. You've got your bit to do, nothing to do with me. It
That's
is
right.
the way it is.
Yeah,
Either you'll make it or you won't. That's it.
that's right. Uh-huh. And if you want to, like, you could be my identity as a carer, as a caregiver means I have to do things in a certain way.
Yeah,
Means I have to make sure that you survive, or I have to, and if you don't, it's going to be like I am going to be dreadfully hurt.
yeah,
So, and as you said, like they have their bit to do. This is
I do.
possible, this influence without influence, and this is possible through moderation. Free yourself from the constraints of your own ideas of what they need and what you need to do to obtain and
Yeah,
to be the identity that you're holding on to.
yeah. I
And
try to
then,
say to these people that I look after, because they say,
mhm,
you're so good, you're so good. And I said to them, you shouldn't have to say that. It should be the norm. It should
yeah,
be what it is. You
right.
know, it shouldn't be that I'm good at something. It should be just what is. You know, anyone coming in should allow you to a space to get well yourself, not just come in and do unto you and then leave.
But we also have to recognize that they attracted this.
Yeah,
This is the experience that they're having. It's not about you being good, it's the experience that they're having.
yeah,
And then this is an interesting aspect of respect all things as they are and remove their limits. If you walked in there every day and told them what their limits are, well, you're not going to leave here, or this is going to be painful, or this is going to be unpleasant. By respecting them, even if they think this is going to be a horrible experience, you respect them having that experience, and you can remove their limits, any limits that you would inadvertently put on them,
yeah,
meaning that they can get out of here, but they have to do the work
yeah,
to be able to do that. Embrace this virtue, and your limits will be removed as well.
yeah,
And that's a big thing, because what are the limits that we put on ourselves, right? Like if you went in there with the idea that you had this identity as a caregiver that you had to hold on to, if you had this, these rules and these guidelines that you had to uphold in order to do your job well, or all of these definitions, you wouldn't be able to, like, you'd just be putting more and more limits on yourself, because every one of those things sits on that spectrum of good, bad, right, wrong,
Yeah.
success, failure.
Yeah. I agree with that, because 1 minute I can go in and I'm feeling really kind of kind, and then the next
Yeah.
minute I can go in, I'm irritated.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, you've rang your bell again. What do you want now?
Right.
I just enjoy every single one. If that's what I'm feeling, that's what I'm feeling. It's great. Just
Yeah.
experience it. It's good. It's
And
there
and
for
those
it's
and
there
both
because it
of those
is.
things, all of that's okay. It's okay to be
Mm,
irritated, but becoming, like Dr. Rao says, objectify the mind and just be like,
mm.
oh, look at that. Just observe the irritation without
Yeah,
having to run away with it.
yeah,
And that's what we
absolutely.
have here. Find within yourself both solid ground and yielding sky, right? Like the solidity of being grounded, and yet the ability to flow with what is and what is happening.
I like that. It's helping me a
Be
lot.
at one with Tao, and the landscape creates itself. Just like that's that. Be at one with Tao means what? It means like nurture all things without influencing them, respect all things as they are. And then the landscape, the experience that you're going to have, that you're going to see, right? Because you're the observer. You're not getting caught up in this body. You're just observing it. And so you can observe the landscape, and the landscape will present itself to you.
Sounds good. I
Just
like
like this
listening to you.
experience
I
now with
love listening to you, Martin. I don't always have to come back with a reply, or I just
yeah, no,
can
I
just
just I
sit
allow
with
that
you.
stillness to be there.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And
Sometimes I'm just quiet to let it sink in, not
yeah,
just for you, but for people listening, even myself.
yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm doing as well. I'm just
Yeah.
enjoying that. So just get right in there.
Yeah. And then
But
we
yeah,
wrap this one up with the line, limitless, you achieve immortality. And that's the thing, like what you're doing with these people, whether they survive or not, puts a lot of energy into the world. And that energy is not going anywhere.
mm,
That message isn't going anywhere. And like you may not you may not have millions of followers knowing what you do, but you have millions of people being affected by all that you do every day.
yeah,
Just because you love.
mm,
And that's a hard thing to understand, because we look out at the world, like Dr. Rao was saying, and it's all about the object, it's all about the numbers, it's all about the stuff.
yeah,
And yet, really, what you're doing is giving more to the world, but not in the way that the world has practice in appreciating currently.
mm,
And if we could all appreciate that, then nobody would want to be famous. Everyone would just want to be present,
yeah.
and
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 enjoy.
nobody would look to make anybody famous. No one would care. Like you're not looking for credit. You're just looking to be present
Yeah,
with this moment.
yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And
It's
if you were
being.
out there looking for credit, you would adjust and you would change, and then you would not be at one with Tao. And the landscape you would create, and then it would crumble every time in
Mm,
different ways. And that's what it means to serve others. And that's our work.
yeah. It seems natural. That's
Mm-hmm.
the thing about it. It feels natural.
Yeah.
It's not good, not bad, none of that, because
No, no, yeah.
that's missing, what it is.
That's right.
But it feels natural, and that's very grounding, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tao says, how do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see.
Yeah.
It's not about, and when we want money and success and fame and all of those things, we have these aspirations and we have these things and we got to keep on it. We got to listen to others and we got to do all these things that are planned out and structured and all this stuff. But really, surrender is the only true way forward. The only way that we're going to balance it all, because we can't balance it all on our own. If you think you can balance family and life and all that stuff, like and like be in control, well, good luck.
Yeah, well done to you.
Yeah, well done.
Uh,
But really,
yeah.
all that does is make us more paranoid that something's going to go wrong.
Yes, it does. Gives us some fear, doesn't it? Eh?
Yeah, and
Uh-uh.
then we're afraid to die,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
I'm not.
something we're going to do anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
Love you so much. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing 59 with me. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing Tao of the Day with me. The Tao of the Day is such a wonderful part of my life. I want to thank you all so much. I'm getting emotional. Oh, Johnny is going to join me, and we'll see what Johnny has, and then we'll wrap up because I'm going to need some breakfast. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm really good, Martin John. Thank you very much for allowing me to come on. I
Oh
appreciate you
yeah.
were just about to wrap up there. So
Yeah,
thanks. So
like, well, you never know how many who's sitting in the queue and stuff. And like, about when there's no one sitting in the queue, you never know. So you're just kind of like, I can wrap it up now. But like, you came up, and I was like, oh, let's keep it going.
great, thank you. I've really enjoyed listening. I've been listening since sort of the beginning, and
Wonderful.
there was there's especially a lot of what the first two people spoke about really resonated with me, especially the stillness before action.
Oh
And
yeah.
I I thought, and there was a couple of interpretations on that, and the idea that whether I've always felt that action needs to come from a place, from the right place, and whether the action comes from love and compassion, as sort of opposed to fear or guilt or something else. And yeah, that really resonated with me because I think I'm looking to connect with that inner compass, to connect with, as I think the lady said at the beginning, that spirit, so that I know that my action then proceeds in the right direction.
Yeah. It's as we talk about stillness, I mean, I mentioned, and if you listened, like you heard, like that idea of like, when you don't know what to do, if you just sit and you turn everything on, because so often when we don't know what to do, we'll turn on YouTube or look at Instagram or we'll fill that point that we can be still with something obtuse, something that's obvious, something that makes us feel something, rather than just sitting and trying to connect with, as that number 63 expressed, like that subtle energy.
Absolutely, we fill that void with a distraction, and when we
Yeah.
fill that void with a distraction, we can't hear what
Right, right.
sort of that our inner voice is trying to tell us, or the Tao, or the spirit, or whatever you want to call
Whatever, yeah,
it.
whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's great. I'm also looking forward to when your book comes out. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Soon,
I,
soon.
I,
Like
I
I will do. I do Tao of the Day. There will be a day of the Tao where I will go through um, each, each of the Tao that I've written, one after another. I think I'll do it over 2 days because it'll be 20 hours, and I can't be expected to be on here for 20 hours. So yeah, I'll go through each one of them and I'll talk about them, and then that'll kind of be the launch of the book and stuff like that. And I'll probably be doing some fundraising so that I can get the Oracle deck and app built and stuff. So
that sounds great. And
yeah.
actually, one of the reasons I look forward to your book is because I'm I'm more of a visual person than a auditory person. So
Yeah.
it's actually quite nice to actually potentially have your book in front of me while you're reading the verses.
Yeah, and
So
that's
so that
something that, that's something that I love that I get to do with my translation. And I give people links to the other translations when I read them. And this is something that I'm going to want, like people to be, even with my translation, I'm making a book doesn't like I will send you if this is something that you would like. I would send you this via like Instagram or what have you, so that you can look at it later on in today. So if that's something that you would like, I'd be happy to do that.
okay, great. I just registered on sort of your website actually
Oh,
just
beautiful.
earlier. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Well,
I
then
will
I'll
reach
see
out
it,
to you.
and then I'll be able to send it to you through there.
Thank you. So do you mind if I could do a quick number,
Absolutely.
if that's okay?
Hit me up. Yeah.
Perfect. Could we do number 15, please?
15. Absolutely. 15. I entitled Ancient Tao. This is a little bit longer, so stick with me. So, the ancient master's ability to comprehend the mystery was so profound and subtle that they were misunderstood. One could only describe how they must have appeared. Careful as someone hearing the ice crack midway through crossing a lake. Observant as someone surrounded by toxic threats. Courteous as a guest in awe of her host, unpretentious as a felled branch in a wood, vacant as someone staring into space, and dull as a man with nothing to boast about. Can you be still, adding nothing until the mud settles and gives you the opportunity to see clearly? Can you be still until, on its own accord, the next action presents itself to you? The master has no need for herself. She doesn't seek or expect attention. Not needing to appease herself, she has no requests.
That was great. Thank you. I might need you to get. I'll
Yeah,
ask you to repeat that. But the one thing that jumps out at me immediately is waiting for the mud to clear, and
yes,
then the action will present itself. And that's again what resonated with me in the in your earlier talk.
yeah.
Um,
I
and that's
felt that resonate too. I was like, because we had talked about stillness, and I was like, oh, here it is.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I think that is so important, and very much for me in particular, that I think it's really nice to it's this really nice analogy, allowing the mud to clear, because you
mm-hmm.
need to let things settle before you can see clearly.
Yes,
And and when you're in like emotional turmoil, or you've got 101 distractions, or you've got even input from 101 people, it it can very difficult to see the wood from the trees.
yeah,
And I think, yeah, that's I think from the talks, it's really, for me, it's resonating with tuning into your heart's desire, for want of a better phrase, tuning
mm-hmm.
into your inner guidance, your inner wisdom. and and then what I really loved about that is that the practical steps will appear to you. You don't need to
Yeah,
go looking for them. They will actually appear, and you will know what to do.
yeah.
And
And
I
that's
think,
such
and
a like, oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And the there's an interesting line here, like, right, can you be still, adding nothing until the mud settles? And that's an interesting way of putting it, right? Adding nothing.
yes,
Like
absolutely. I
like
missed that.
it's
Thank
it's about like, can you just be here and not add anything to this moment? Because like that's what we want to do, right? We want to open the computer and add something. We want to call somebody and add something. We want to get more, keep adding and adding and adding. But every time we add something, it's like throwing a stone into the muddy water, and it's like it's just getting more riled up. Be still, let it all settle. Don't add anything. because you're perfect right now. It's okay. Let's be here. And this one, and I'll go through this one now. Like the ancient masters' ability to comprehend the mystery was so profound and subtle, they were often misunderstood. One could only describe how they must have appeared. And so that just expresses all that expresses in those lines is that the ancient masters knew some shit and we don't, and it's so profound that we can't express what that is. We're going to misunderstand that. And so we have to step back, and all we can do is describe how it must have appeared. And this group of how they appeared, this group of lines that talks about how they appeared, is really, really interesting, right? Because we have careful as someone hearing the crack midway through crossing a lake. Imagine what that looks like. Someone crossing an iced over lake, and then in the middle of it, they hear a crack.
Yeah, it's your mind would just start racing,
Right.
and
But they
you,
have to be still, right? You
yes,
can't,
oh,
like,
that absolutely,
immediately,
yes,
you cannot start flailing about freaking out. You have to be still and probably get down on your belly, right? Like you have to be still and you
yeah,
have to be clear and you have to know what you're going to do. Because if you freak out, you're going to cause like, and this was such a beautiful group to write because I was like, what did they look like? And I was like, this is what they look like, right? Like, oh, like
yeah.
now I need to quiet down. I need to be real still right now. Observant as someone surrounded by toxic threats. And once again, if you walk into a room and there are a bunch of, like narcissists arguing and stuff, you'd want to take that step back and just take in the whole picture. You wouldn't want to start engaging individuals. They're all toxic and they're
Absolutely.
threats. And so you need to be able to protect yourself. And in order to do that, you don't want to engage. You want to step back and you want to just look around and you want to observe the situation. Courteous as a guest in awe of her host. You step into someone's house and like they set everything up and they're making dinner. It's like, wow, you're doing all this. I want to contribute. I want to be here and I don't just want to, and I want to let you know that like it's appreciated.
You want to be there in presence. You want to be
Yeah.
there as your authentic self, and not with um, you want to show up in that moment and appreciate what they have to offer. So, but I was just coming back to what so you were saying about the listening to the crack on the ice.
Oh yeah, please.
Instinctively, that would kick in your fight or flight response or something similar to that. But actually, the
You
thing
have to
to do,
override that.
you have to override that. Yeah, you have to not let fear dictate your action.
Yeah.
And um, I thought it was such a nice analogy, as you said in that particular, because if you do, you may start to run
Mm-hmm.
and just end up submerged.
Right.
And instead of stopping and, as you say, laying down and listening and being still and allowing um, the next move to present itself.
Right.
And the thing is, with also a crack in the ice, it may just be a crack in the ice,
Yeah.
and it
It might
doesn't
not have anything
necessarily.
to do with you.
Absolutely, and it
Right.
may be quite a distance from you, and it may
Yeah.
be your reaction to it that causes the problem.
Right.
Whereas if you just stay with it, you can move through it.
Right. And that's what like and so all of these, and I'm going to stop reading this group even though they're good, but all of these things, right? Careful, observant, courteous, unpretentious, vacant, and dull are all ways that that this is how we could describe the ancient masters, which knew something that was so profound that was misunderstood. So all of those are there. And then it goes into Can you be still and add nothing until the mud settles? Very similar to the crack on the ice. Can you be still so so you don't make it worse, and that you can see, and it gives you the opportunity to see clearly, because you couldn't see clearly if that ice cracked and then you started running. As soon as you started running, you would just start hearing more cracks, and that would
Mm.
freak you out even more, and you would be adding and adding and adding. Can you be still until, on its own accord, the next action presents itself to you?
Yeah, I love that line. The next action presents itself to you.
Yeah.
It it's because it will. You have to have. You
Mm,
have to have. It's that trust and surrender sort of idea that will action will present itself to you
that's right.
if you just allow the mud to clear and be still,
Yeah.
and you'll come from a good place then.
And you're down to
So
37 seconds, and we got a little bit more, so I want to go through it. If you want to come back up and do that, that'd be great. So this last section, these last couple lines are: the master has no need for herself. She doesn't seek or expect attention. Not needing to appease herself, she has no requests.
I might need to. I would like to come back up just briefly and just get you to
Yeah,
repeat the last section, if that's okay.
yeah,
That would be.
absolutely, absolutely. So I know you can still hear me while you're coming back up. So I'm gonna read it again, and it says, the master has no need for herself. She doesn't seek or expect attention, not needing to appease herself. She has no requests. You know, so as we've read through this, the master's ability to comprehend the mystery was so profound and subtle that they were often misunderstood. See, and all of this is about being still. And when we talk about herself, we talk about, like, she has no need for herself. She has no need for that identity of herself. She has no need to appease. She doesn't seek or expect attention. She's not like we had covered the courteous guest in awe of her host. If you're in awe of your host, you're not going to go out of your way to try and gain more attention than she is receiving. You're not going to try and compete. You're going to be in awe, and you're going to love that they're doing what they're doing, and you're going to want to be a part of that. And when you're stuck in the idea that you're important, then you want to be seen as important.
Absolutely. That's what came across to me,
Yeah,
in that the master doesn't need to prove themselves.
right.
They don't. It's probably a little bit related to ego,
Yeah,
in that they're not looking for validation. They're not looking for recognition. They're not looking for an external stimuli to validate their worth.
right.
They're comfortable. They're connected with something greater, and as such, they can act from that place and not need that external validation.
And I know we talked about the cracked ice a lot. And if you are, and this is an analogy to how they must have appeared when they were interacting with people. And that is like, like, yes, you hear that crack, but what happens is you can be still in that moment and focused on that one thing that's happening. Every interaction you have is focused on this. And if you get caught up in responding and reacting and getting triggered, then you're not going to be present to this thing that's happening. And that was a way, like, because it said they were so profound and subtle that they were misunderstood. You can only describe the way they appeared. And so they appear this way. And the master appears this way as well. She doesn't seek or expect attention. She's still. She has no need for the identity. She has no need to be right. She has no need place an argument on anything. She can just be herself. And we didn't read all of these, but unpretentious like a felled branch in a wood. Like, she doesn't need to gain that attention. She doesn't need to be seen and be a jewel. She just needs to be here and not needing to appease herself, appease her ego. She has
Yes,
no
exactly.
requests. She has no requests on the world around her. The world around her is perfect. She knows it and she can live in it because she doesn't need all of these other things.
It's yeah, it's so much about it coming from the inside going out, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to allowing the outside world to
Influence who
it.
you are.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's as sort of they say. Yeah, that's wonderful, thank you.
absolutely.
um I realized I overran my slot, but thank you very
No,
much,
I'm
Martin,
grateful.
Martin
This
John.
was
uh,
beautiful, and I
yeah, no,
may even use our conversation for the app, because I'm pulling certain conversations and utilizing them. So when people pick number 15, the audio from this would come up, and they'd be able to listen
oh,
to that.
okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Thank
glad
you
that you
very much
came back
if
up
that
and
happens.
we had a talk.
Yeah, no, it was great, and I look forward to in due course to the book and the
Yeah.
cards and the app.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna
thank you,
be fun.
and yeah, it will be. Thank you very much, Martin John.
Johnny, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you.
All right, me too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we are going to end it there. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining me, Johnny, Julie, Dr. Rao, Ad, and Isabel. You all always just make my life such a better place to be. I started today a little blue, and I'm feeling really great right now. So, yeah, we covered 69, 15, 19, and 59, or 63 with Isabel, not 69. Um, if you are interested in working with me, I do a lot of work on helping people understand that it's them that they're recovering, and that the core of a lot of that is Tao. So if you are interested in connecting more with yourself, reach out to me. I have my workshop on my website that you can purchase, which is the Recover Yourself workshop, which is all about recovering who you are, the whole self of you, and not getting too distracted by triggers and other things like that. We are going to wrap this up. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.